You are worthy of the things that you want, all the good things that you want in your life. You deserve these good things. And guess what? They're yours, period. They're yours. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ebony. I talk about locks and I talk about lifestyle stuff. And today we are getting into more life stuff. I got Ozzy with me. Say hey, son. And I was talking in my last video about how I really take the end of the year to be introspective, to really reflect and things like that. And I just wanted to talk about it with you guys because I really sat down and I started thinking over like the things that I told myself I wanted to do last year, at the end of the year last year. And I was reflecting on the things that I was able to do, things that I didn't get to, things like that. And I was like, wait a minute, like I really was able to change up my life. And I didn't realize it because I didn't go back and look at the things I put on my vision board or look at the things that I put on my goals. And if you see some of my past videos, I even talked about having a gratitude jar. I haven't even looked at what's in that gratitude jar yet. So it's really just been a time to like really look and reflect. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was able to really change my freaking life. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about maybe like some of the top things that I was able to change about my perspective, about my mind frame and things like that, that I really think led to making these changes. For example, I was able to get my dream job, like the job that I have been wanting since I graduated from college. I was able to get that this year, okay? I was able to make the money that I've been wanting to make. And mind you, not even that I've been wanting to make, I don't even think I knew that this was capable. You know what I mean? And I really wanted to focus on more meaningful friendships. I've always been somebody that loved my friends and loved having friendships, but I just wanted to be a little bit more meaningful and thoughtful, especially find friends that are in the place that I'm in my life. So those are the things that were really, really important to me, this maintaining and building relationships, making the money that I want to make, having the job and the career that I want, and just feeling good about myself. And I really feel like I'm in a completely different space than I was that year ago. This is a constant thing for me. I in no way think that I am a fully formed human being that knows exactly what she's doing and got a good head on her shoulders and knows exactly, well, I do have a good head on my shoulders, but I don't have all the answers is all I'm trying to say. These are things that I constantly do and constantly remind myself of in order to check in with myself and make sure that I'm on the right track. So we are learning as we're going. We are growing here, okay? I am growing. This is not my final form. And so let's just grow together, y'all. Okay, and I'm sitting in front of my mirror. I got my makeup here. Like, let's just get cute and talk, y'all. Okay, so the very first thing that I did at the start of the year that I really think has helped me accomplish what I needed to is number one, taking ownership of my life, okay? I had to take ownership. So the thing about it is sometimes it's a lot easier to stay in your comfort zone and say something like, kind of like act like life is just happening to you rather than you taking control of your life. And I think that's what I'm touching on here. For me, COVID has just been a big mess, all right? It's been for everybody, okay? I had things on my list before COVID became a thing that I still never got to, and I would say things like, well, child, it's COVID, you know, like I'm not gonna get to that because this type of, you know, these things are in the way and that's just the way it is, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, y'all, like 3 years have passed at this point, and it's like, I gotta I have to take ownership for like the things that I can change, things that are within my power to change, and really just go for those things. Like, it's not good enough to me anymore to use that as an excuse for certain things. Like some things, of course, you can't change, but like I'm saying, the things that are within my power to change, it's time. It was time for me to take control of them. I didn't want to use that as an excuse anymore. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, I was tired of using that as an excuse, and also tired of putting my life on hold. Because who knows how long it's gonna take for the world to get back on track. You know what I mean? Like, it was time for me to take control. Like, I don't want to be that person who, like, whenever you talk to them, like, something is going on in their life that they're just like, and they're all completely fixable things, but they're like, oh, and then this and then that, you know, and they've in this situation, like, they're, for example, let's say they're in this relationship with this guy that they like literally hate. Both of them don't even like each other, and you hear your friend talk about it 1,000,001 times, and you're kind of sitting there like, okay, so what do you want to do about it? Like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, that's completely within your power to change. That's just an example, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, I was like, yeah, it's time for me to move on from this. And I took a moment to think to myself, I'm like, girl, you the same girl that bought a duplex at 25. Okay, you can make something shake. All right. So yeah, I decided that I was gonna take ownership, more ownership over my life, and I decided that I was willing and able to make changes. Things that aren't systemic, but things that I can change in my life, I'm willing to change them. Number one. And then also, after deciding that I'm taking ownership of my life, I had to decide that I deserved the great things that I want for myself, or that I was worthy of those things. And I'm basically touching on imposter syndrome here. I think that something that got in the way of me accomplishing some of my goals was this weird thought in the back of my head that maybe it wasn't attainable for me for whatever reason. And I needed to unpack that. I needed to sit down and unpack that. Like, what the hell is going on, Ebony? Why do you feel like pretty much that you're not worthy of this thing? Other people can attain this, so why can't you? You know what I mean? Like, what are these things in your way? What are these obstacles in your way? Let's address those, but let's really address what's going on up here, you know, that makes you feel like you can't achieve something, because it has to be something deeper going on in your head, you know, for that. I needed to make sure that I was allowing myself to think bigger and think better. And one of those things, like, imposter syndrome really comes up for me at work. And I needed to address that. Like, why do I feel like, I don't know, like I'm fighting for my spot here? I've already got my spot. I already have it. You know what I mean? Like, let's think bigger. Let's think better. Like, let's still remember that you are that girl, okay? You are worthy of the things that you want, all the good things that you want in your life. You deserve these good things. And guess what? They're yours, period. They're yours. I really think that that is a roadblock for a lot of us, especially as Black women. Of course, we deal with a lot of imposter syndrome. I really think it's worth it to sit down and have those conversations with yourself. For me at work, it's doing power poses. Power poses really helps me get past this like little roadblock. For other people, it's affirmations. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, whatever that is for you, try a few things, but you'll be surprised how much that can help you just unblock that part of your mind and then go for what you need to go for, girl. Okay. And let me look. I'm over here talking. I'm not even at the concealer portion. Like, let's get a move on, sis. The next thing that I really had to come to terms with myself is I had to make sure that I keep the promises I make to myself. I need to keep promises to myself. And this is really about discipline, y'all. It's really about discipline. I needed to make sure that I knew that I am worth the time and effort and the consistency that I give to other people and other things. You know what I mean? Like, I am able to show up for everybody else. And why, when it comes to something that I want or something I'm trying to do, I'm like, maybe next time, I don't have everything I need, like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, nah, girl, you're worth that promise as well. You're worth keeping that promise too, you know? And so for me, a big thing that helped me with discipline, okay, because I literally realized I'm lacking discipline. Something that really helped me was this YouTube channel, okay? I promised myself that I would sit down and I would film a video every single week, and I would edit it and I would upload it, okay? And the thing about me is I realized, like, through some introspection, okay, that if I'm not immediately good at something, I usually just cast it off to the side and move on to something else. And so I told myself I really need to narrow down on something, decide to give it my all, even though I don't think I'm immediately good at it, even though I think it's going to be hard, and really let that be an exercise for myself. I've always wanted to create a YouTube channel. I just never did it. And so I told myself, let's freaking do that this year. You are going to, starting in January, post every single week. And you are not going to miss a week. And you know what's crazy is I did it. Y'all, I freaking did it. And I am so proud of myself. I had to prove to myself that I was able to keep promises to myself. And it's crazy because that discipline trickled down into so many other aspects of my life. For example, relationships. Because I made promises to myself and because I hold myself in that high regard, I'm not allowing certain things from people, okay? Whether that be friendships, familial, or, romantic. I am able to hold them to a higher standard in the way that they treat me, And then, like, my eating habits, I'm a perpetual chip eater, okay? And for my own health, I said, girl, you gotta slow down. But no, like, the discipline really trickled into that as well, because it's like, okay, I'm able to make better eating habits. So yeah, I didn't realize how deep it went for me with, like, discipline in general, but learning that has been such a skill for me. Like, I'm amazed at how much my life has changed, just by taking discipline seriously. I think learning discipline is the ultimate life hack. I really think it is, y'all. Side note, I watched this video on TikTok of this girl, and she was talking about how, like, she was giving makeup tips. If I can find it again, I'll put it in the link below. I'll put it in the description below, my bad. But I love her tips, okay? Like, I'm over here using them right now. Okay, so we talked about keeping promises to yourself. The next thing that I want to touch on is making sure to check in with yourself. I made it a point to get back into journaling, y'all. I have always been a journaler, but I fell off last year. And coming back to it, wow. I love it. I love it here. I really love journaling. I think you are able to be real with yourself in a way that you can't be real. Like, the things that you tell yourself in your journal, okay, there are things that you would have never said or even thought, okay? It's deeper than even, like, just thinking these things. Like, what you put in a journal, girl, you will be so surprised what comes out, what's revealed, okay? About yourself. Like, if you're trying to figure out, like, why am I not doing this? Why can't I accomplish this? What are the issues that I'm having? Like, you would be so surprised how much you can get to the bottom of things through journaling and just taking the time to check in with yourself. And you're able to receive things after reflecting with yourself that maybe it would be harder to receive from, like, somebody else, girl. Unless you're, like, in therapy, which shout out to you if you're in therapy. But also, I think a journal is still necessary. Even if you're talking to a therapist, y'all, you could bring what you find in a journal over to your therapist and be like, okay, let's unpack this one. But yeah, I just think it was really, really important for me to take the time to check in with myself, and see how I was feeling, and then, of course, be able to make changes in my life based on what was coming out of the journal. And if you notice, like, all of these things are kind of like introspective self type of things. They're not the tactical things that I did. per se, but that's because I think these things are so important to start with. I have always been a go-getter. I've always been driven, but I think that last year I was just kind of in a funk. And honestly, for the past couple of years, like I said, COVID was just, that was an interesting part for me. So like, I think that every now and then you might need a reminder of, you know, how to reset yourself to get back on track. And this is the best time to do it, okay? It, like, at the end of the year, when you are taking the time to rest and reflect, this is the time to really sit down and be like, okay, how can I, like, what happened here? How can I improve myself? So the last thing that I want to say is something that really changed my life is looking for the why in things, rather than just taking things at face value or reacting based on the what. And I'm going to say that this helped my relationships. You guys remember that one of the things that I really wanted to work on was meaningful and lasting relationships. Looking for the why is so helpful. And I'm going to give you guys an example. At my job, okay, I work in marketing. I work in product marketing specifically. So it's pretty like tech. It's in tech, but it's a marketing role. And I interface with like a lot of engineers and data people, just a lot of analytical people. And I was having a little bit of trouble in the beginning of this new job because I was trying to understand how these people communicated. I'm just like, what is going on? I felt like I was getting like lots of pushback on things that I wanted to do. And like, I was like, why y'all don't like me? This is how I felt. I was like, why y'all hate me? What I do? But after taking the time to understand the why, like actually taking a step back and being like, why am I getting this response? Why is this not happening? I realized, Ebony, these people are a part of different teams and they all have different goals as well. And so when you're thinking of why is your thing not moving forward, you're not thinking about what their personal goals are and what their team's goals are and how you guys can work together on these things. And so that helped me reframe my entire approach. You know, it helped me reframe how I speak to them, how I put things in front of them that I need. I make sure that I find something in common with the both of us. Hey, this helps both of us because X, Y, and Z. This ladders up to your metrics and your KPIs. This is why it's helpful, you know? And that's the way I package things. And I realized, okay, I get way farther when I have those kinds of conversations rather than just saying, hey, can you help me? And saying, because it's important for me and my goals. You know what I mean? So yeah, that why is really, really important. Same thing for friendships is if I'm over here saying, I want, you know, really lasting, meaningful relationships, I need to look at why I feel like I don't have that right now. The why is that a part of that is that I've always been a very low maintenance friend, and my friends know that about me. I am somebody that you do not have to talk to every single day, and I still feel like we are great. We're best friends. However, I realized that, you know what? I should check in a little bit more. Like, I'm realizing that, like, I've always been low maintenance and that's always been a great thing for me. But I'm realizing that maybe I actually do need a little bit more maintenance, and I wasn't that way before. And now I realize I actually need that. So, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to reach out to my friends more. You know, I'm going to make the dates. I'm going to say, hey, meet me here at this time. Let's do it. You know, I'm going to check in more. And so that is something that I made it a point to do. I also started last year going to places where I wanted to meet friends. So for example, I want friends to go with me to museums. Okay, then guess what? I'm finding a museum group and I'm going to that museum thing. You know what I mean? Or I want friends who read. Well, guess what? I'm going to my local bookstore that's Black owned, and I'm gonna sit there and talk to people. Now, these are just examples. I wanted friends that were going to like certain events. So I went to those events by myself sometimes. And y'all, it's crazy because there are other people going to those events with the same mentality. Like, I met two girls that I am still really close with to this day at an event and they were both there alone. And they're like, hey, can we sit with you? Like, I want to, hang out. I want to, I just came here alone, blah, blah, blah. I was in shock, and we are still cool to this day. Those are my girls. So yeah, looking for the why is just really important. So yeah, we're nearing the end of this conversation, but the main things to take away is that I had to, in order to change up my life, I had to take ownership of my life. I had to believe that I was worthy of the changes that were going to be made. And I forgot to mention this, but how an interesting point about my job that I told you is my dream job. I had always wanted this job or this company, and I had told myself I was working at a good place at the time. I'd been there for like almost 3 years, good pay, everything was good, like good, you know what I mean? However, I had told myself when I had joined my job a couple years ago that I wasn't going to stay there for a long time. It wasn't in the industry that I was very interested in. After a while, like after 2 years, I started getting a little bit bored. But I had the opportunity to start looking, but I wasn't looking for another job very seriously, partially because for this situation of the, making sure that you know that you're worthy or that you deserve, somewhere in the back of my mind, I was kind of thinking like, maybe this is the best. Like maybe this is kind of like, let me not push my luck here. What if I can't get anything else, or I end up in a bad situation, or, you know what I mean? What if there's really nothing else out there for me? And I think that's a dangerous mindset to have, number one. And number two, it's hard to admit that might be what you're thinking in the back of your head. But I had to take the leap. And once I decided to take the leap, like this situation fell literally in my lap. I got hit up by a recruiter. I didn't even have to apply for the shit myself. Like that is how crazy it was. But it really took me taking the time to sit there and be like, what the heck, Ebony? You deserve to explore until you are content, okay? Just good enough is not good enough for you, actually. Like you are somebody that wants more. And so yeah, so I just had to remember to give that tidbit in there. But okay, so I had to take ownership. I had to believe that I deserve this. I had to keep promises to myself, okay? Those things that I put on my goal list, the vision board that I have, those things can change over time. I think it's fine to change them. But anything that you are thinking of that you really want to achieve, just make sure that you don't leave anything on the table, okay? That you feel like you gave it your all, okay? I need to feel like I sat there and I filmed these videos and I did them. You know what I mean? Even if they completely flopped and nothing comes of it, I needed to keep that promise to myself. And I just think that that was so important. Like I said, I think discipline is the ultimate life hack. I didn't realize what I was missing until I had it. And then of course, journaling, like being very real with yourself, taking the time to check in with myself. And then lastly, looking for the why in things. I think the way that I look at life, my perspective, like I am just very much more open to good things happening to me, great things happening to me, things that are way beyond even my thoughts of what it could be can happen to me. And I am so open to it. And I think this year is just a great, great example of how those things can happen. And I really think that this is just a constant reminder to myself to just continue to do just that, continue to be open to anything, and believe that literally the best things in the world are coming to me, and they are mine already, and I claim them. So yeah, I just think it's a lot of this stuff is internal before it actually becomes tactical, physical, applicable things. Let's get our minds together. Let's rest and reflect, okay, before the new year. And don't be too hard on yourself, but just make sure that you feel good, that you feel good about yourself, and you feel good about going into the new year. So yes, okay, I did my face. I just need to find my lip gloss. But yeah, everybody enjoy the rest of this year in the new year, and I will see you in the next video.